chiama Tuca Tuca Tuca. L'ho inventato io per poterti dire mi piaci, mi piaci, mi piaci, mi piaci, mi piaci. Ah ah, mi piaci. Ah ah, mi piaci. Tanto, tanto. E quando ti guardo lo sai cosa voglio da te. Ah, e quando ti guardo lo sai cosa voglio da te. Ah, e quando mi guardi lo so cosa tu vuoi da me. Nina na na marinare, goma varca miezzo mare. Io te parle non răspund, te se perse miezzo su. Te vuria magna de vasa, ma ho paura di città. Cose guarde da lontane, costu cuore innamorata. Quando ci aspetta d'averti questa sera, costa luna piena. Quando ci ha sognato di dirti quanto t'amo, costo cuore ma tu sogni qui nel blu. Nina na na marinare, tu sei bel come un mare, a volte calme senza creste, a volte tutta una tempesta, ma tu suoni tante cose e chissà se ti ricordi che tra luna e mezze stelle io t'aspetto a braccia aperte. Quando ci aspettat d'averti questa sera, costa luna piena. Quando ci ha sognato di dirti quanto t'amo, costo cuore ma tu sogni qui nel blu. Nina na 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 na, 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 Nina na 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 na. New Amsterdam was her name before she was New York. New Amsterdam is a dame, the heart and soul of Big Apple City. No matter what name she goes under, I dig her deeply and no wonder, for she's been lovely to me, and I'm the better for having met her.
Amsterdam was her name before she was New York. New Amsterdam is a dame, the heart and soul of Big Apple City. No matter what name she goes under, I dig her deeply and no
Over the valley, I saw a silver cloud with a pink lining. I said it right out loud, there's no denying. You are my one and only love, and we'll see over the valley the moon rise above. Over the valley, this house among the trees where we've been hiding.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this doctoral graduation ceremony op Stellenbosch University. Goeiedag, dames en here. Hartlik welkom aan elkeen van u by hierdie doktorale gradeplegtigheid van die Universiteit Stellenbosch. Vanweë die nasionale COVID-19 regulasies en die universiteit se gesondheids- en veiligheidsprotokolle sal hierdie geleentheid natuurlik bietjie anders daarna uitsien as ons gewone plegtighede. Baie dankie vir u begrip ook daarvoor. Ek het 'n langerige lysie van afkondigings en ek vra net u aandag daarvoor ook. Along with the rest of the country, we closely followed the President's address on Monday night to determine the possible impact of the newly announced regulations on our remaining ceremonies this week. Also at a meeting of the organizing committee, we determined, based on the RSVPs that we received, that we were compliant in terms of the new limit of 100 individuals for indoor gatherings. We've also been following very strict health and safety protocols since the first ceremony on Monday. Due to COVID-19 regulations and our own protocols, this event by necessity has to be somewhat different from our regular ceremonies. Therefore, please do take note of the following. All graduands and guests have been assigned unique seat numbers. Please do not change seats, as the seating record will be used in case any potential contact tracing becomes necessary. Only the essential staff members required to constitute a congregation will be present at the event, and thank you for understanding that we had to limit the number of guests you could invite. In light of the announcements by the President, this enabled us to still proceed with our ceremonies, as we have fewer than 100 attendees per event. But do rest assured also that this hall is thoroughly cleaned and disinfected before and after each ceremony. The wearing of a mask is mandatory for both graduands and guests for the full duration of the ceremony, including when graduands cross the stage. And please do maintain a safe distance of at least 1.5 meters from each other at all times. Also just a notice that no food may be brought into or consumed in the Endler Hall, and only water is permitted inside the venue. Now to the ceremony itself. We will not be singing the national anthem, as is our custom, but instead we will listen to an instrumental version of it directly after the procession has entered the hall. When we get to the awarding of degrees, graduands will be called upon to cross the stage, but there will be no handshaking by the Chancellor or hooting by the registrar in order to comply with COVID-19 regulations. At the conclusion then also of the ceremony, once the procession has left, we respectfully request that you exit the venue and building swiftly so that cleaning and sanitizing with a view to the next ceremony may commence as soon as possible. And we also ask that you don't congregate in the foyer for photographs, but rather capture those special moments outside, maybe in front of the building or even in the beautiful Victoria Street. Kindly ensure that you take along any waste items, such as water bottles or tissues or even the programs, when you exit the venue, and please make use of the waste disposal bags provided. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I have to add that if guests and graduands do not adhere to these conditions, we will unfortunately have no choice but to ask that you leave the venue. Baie dankie vir u geduld met die talle aanwysings, dames en here. Dis egter in ons almal se belang. And then also maybe good news. This graduation ceremony can be followed via live streaming from anywhere in the world. In case you are not aware of this, you are welcome to share the following URL with family and friends. That is the university's web address, www.sun.ac.za/streaming. Dis nou die universiteit se webadres, www.sun.ac.za/streaming. Please note that load shedding may interrupt internet connectivity and therefore also live streaming, but you will be able to access a recording of the event afterwards on YouTube. That is also via our streaming page. Load shedding will, however, not end the ceremony itself. We do have a generator on standby, and if a power outage should occur, please remain seated while we switch over to emergency power. We then also kindly ask that you switch off your cell phone or keep it on silent for the duration of the ceremony. You're welcome, of course, then to share your graduation experiences on social media. We use the hashtag SUGrad. If you do take photographs, please switch off the sound and the flash function. Dames en here, ons is bykans gereed om met die plegtigheid te begin. Ons vra dat u sal opstaan vir die akademiese prosesie en sal bly staan tot nadat ons na die nasionale lied geluister het. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession and remain standing until after we have listened to the national anthem. Baie dankie.
Goeiemôre almal. Dumelang, Molweni, good morning. We're going to start our ceremony this morning with the national anthem, instrumental rendition of it. Ons gebruik 'n instrumentele weergawe omdat ons dit nie gaan sing nie. And the reason we don't sing is for obvious reasons of contamination containment. But we'll observe the national anthem first. Please would you take your seat. Sal jy asseblief hier sitplekke inneem. I have a formal duty as Chancellor, one that I perform with great pleasure, which is to constitute this, as I hereby do, formally as a gathering of Stellenbosch's congregation. Ek verklaar hiermee dat hierdie behoorlik gekonstitueer word en is as 'n vergadering van die Stellenbosch se kongregasie. Now that we are properly constituted, I want us to take a few moments to reflect on where we are and what a terrible year it's been. Not only a terrible year, but a year in which your presence here this morning as PhD graduates shows what our determination and endeavor and focus and courage can do. It's been a year of catastrophe for 2 million people in our country who've lost jobs. I think some in your families have been affected. Many people have fallen sick. Many have died. Many people have losses. My own sister, Jeannie, fell sick with COVID. Fortunately, she's fully recovered. But I think many families did not get away so easily. For the university, I became Chancellor on the 1st of January, and I was looking forward to seeing some of you who were going to have the graduations in March. Of course, everything changed. But I'm enormously proud to say that the Vice-Chancellor and his team, some of whom I'll introduce to you now, performed one of the most efficient and imaginative and inventive turnaround strategies of any tertiary institution in South Africa. Die rector is aan my regterkant, hy is Professor Wim de Villiers. Aan sy regterkant is daar die registrateur, Dr. Ronel Retief. En aan my linkerkant is daar Professor Ingrid Woolard, wat die dekaan is van ekonomiese wetenskappe. Baie dankie. En ons sal u later voorstel. Ons het ook 'n pryswenner. Is u meneer Brooks? Ons is baie trots op u. Ons sal u later voorstel. We have a Chancellor's Award winner. And why I mention the executive is that I think that Stellenbosch's management, expertise, determination, courage, proficiency, and focus came to the fore. Let me give you one fact which I'm particularly proud of. The university distributed 2,000 laptops, many of them to less resourced students, to ensure that teaching and learning could continue. And last week, we were uncertain whether we could continue this week. Dit was onseker of ons enigstens sou kon voortgaan, selfs met erg ingekorte plegtighede. On Friday, it was decided we would go ahead. And the reason we decided to go ahead relates directly to you. That the very top, the cream of a tertiary intellectual academic institution's output is you, is die PhD graduandi. You collate the knowledge, the concepts, the processes, the empirical pathways, the evidence, the thinking that represents the finest of a university's output. And we decided dat ons net die PhD-studente en die pryswenners, die toekenningwenners, in ons gradeplegtighede sou hê. Maandag aand het ons 'n verdere terugslag gehad toe die president verdere inkortingsmaatreëls aangekondig het. And as you can see, we are well within the legal limits for a gathering of this sort because we're under 100 people. So looking back at all that, I wonder if we shouldn't just take a moment to reflect, not only negatively on the losses that we've endured, the setbacks to our country, the 350 billion rand hole in our revenue collection, which is going to impact poor people worst of all. But let us also think about what we've learned. I'm living with HIV. I acquired HIV in the 1980s, and I fell very sick with AIDS 23 years ago. But my life was given back to me with antiretroviral medication. It's still a disease of silence, even though 7.5 million of us in our country, some of your parents and children and families and colleagues and neighbors have it as well. But we learned from the HIV epidemic. We learned the lesson of social activism. We learned the lesson of independent courts, because it was the courts in the end that forced President Mbeki to start making antiretrovirals available. And now, because of civil society activism, because of independent judges, and because of the courage of the media and the opposition parties, we have the world's largest publicly provided antiretroviral treatment campaign. 4.5 million people, like myself, owe their lives to ARV treatment. So in that spirit, let us just take a few moments to reflect on what we've learned and on how our courage and initiative can take us forward in the years that lie ahead. Within your own faith framework, if you want to say a prayer silently where you sit, or your rationalist belief system, let us take those few moments just for reflection. Baie dankie, dames en here. Ek het nou my verwelkoming gedoen. Ek is ook baie bly dat ons 'n verwelkoming gaan doen in isiXhosa. Professor Malwande Dlale van ons Departement van Afrika Tale gaan u nou verwelkom in isiXhosa op die videoskerm.
Molweni manene na manenekazi. Siyanamkela kumsitho wothusuzidanga kule veki. Siyathemba ukuba olu suku luza kuba neenkumbulo ezintle kwabo baza kube bethweswa izidanga kwiintsapho zabo kunye nezihlobo ngokubanzi. Manene namanenekazi, sizama ngako konke esinako ukubiza amagama abantu ngendlela efanelekileyo. Ndiqinisekile uDean nesekela lakhe bebezama ngako konke okusemandleni ukuziqhelanisa noku, kodwa okuyinyani sinabo baza kube bethweswa izidanga, abasebenzi kunye neendwendwe ezivela kwiindawo ngeendawo ezahlukeneyo, ezineelwimi ezahlukeneyo, nezo zivela ngaphaya kwemida yaseMzantsi Afrika. Yiyo loo nto sicela ukuba nibe nenyameko kuba singakufumanisa kungumcelimngeni ukubiza amanye amagama kunye neefani. Enkosi.
Nkosi, Professor Malwande. We now come to the delightful part of the ceremony. I've already emphasized what joy it gives to us to be here this morning, to have created this ceremony for you. And it's important because we could have done it all on paper. Maar die feit dat daar 'n plegtigheid is, betoon eer aan u, dit betoon eer aan alles wat u onderneem het om hier te wees, dit betoon eer aan die universiteit as tersiêre instelling se deursettingsvermoë. The fact of the ceremony is important because we are doing something here more than just a formality. That's why we dress up with our hats and our gowns, because it's a reverent moment. It's a reverent moment in human endeavor that we have people like you who, through your effort, through the support of many, have achieved what you have. And speaking of the support of many, I know there are a group of people that you would want to acknowledge with me. They are your supervisors. We have a list of 10 duties in our statutes, in ons reglemente, wat 'n studieleier aan moet voldoen. I don't think those list of duties includes correcting spelling errors. Did any of you have spelling errors corrected by your supervisors? They are your moral leaders, intellectual leaders. They are your intellectual examples. They have trodden this path and they're showing you the light forward on it. May I ask the supervisors to stand, please? And may we please applaud them, ladies and gentlemen. We have 5,701 graduates getting their degrees this December. Most of them are getting their degrees, 5,600 of them, virtually. 10 days ago, die rector, die registrateur en ek, ons het online opnames gedoen. But you are receiving your degrees in person for the reason I've given, 138 of you. I'd like to tell you what's going to happen. Professor Woolard, the Dean of the Faculty, is going to call you forward with the help of the graduation assistant and the staff, and she will read your dissertation, thesis out. You will then come here. We won't shake hands for contagion reasons. On Monday morning, I first was standing up when I greeted everyone, and then the photographer said the photographs were showing my stomach and then the graduate. So they've asked me to sit down, and I will be seated. And then I want to ask you, after that moment, earn yourself your moment of pride before your loved ones, before your supervisor, before the camera. This is being broadcast live, and it'll be recorded later. Take your moment. Take that clip later, post it to your Instagram or to your TikTok, or wherever you may want to. I tried on Monday to persuade the landbouwers. Ek het vir hulle gesê, you can even have a dance. And the landbouwers weren't giving it to me. Yesterday, there were several engineering ceremonies. I offered each of them a chance to dance. This morning, one of your Faculty of Commerce and Economics colleagues gave a little dance. So if you want to dance, we are overjoyed to have you here. It's your moment. Madam Dean, over to you.
Mr. Chancellor, I request you to acknowledge the following candidates who graduated in March 2020 with a doctoral qualification. These candidates will cross the stage for ceremonial purposes only. Tawanda Chinkoza with a dissertation entitled Land Rights in Sub-Saharan Africa, Measuring Impact with Satellite Images, Machine Learning, and Citizen Science. Supervision provided by Professor van Vinsel.
Congratulations.
Leon Matsuro with a dissertation entitled Effects of Behavioral and Psychological Attributes on Labor Market Outcomes in an Uncertain Economic Environment, with supervision provided by Professor Neil Rankin.
Congratulations.
Heinrich Nell with a dissertation entitled Wealth Mobility, Familial Ties and Migration, Evidence from the Cape of Good Hope panel, with supervision provided again by Professor Dieter van Vinsel. Helvi Ndelemeke Petrus with a dissertation entitled Roads Infrastructure Funding and Financing for Namibia, a case study of the National Road Network. Supervision provided by Professor Stefan Krijgsman.
Congratulations.
Next, we have our colleague, Michelle Visser, with a dissertation entitled The Development and Psychometric Evaluation of a Medical Practitioner, Compassion Competency Questionnaire, with supervision provided by Professor Tron. Congratulations. Paul Wabiga with a dissertation entitled Foreign and Domestic Private Investments in Developing Economies, Case Studies in Sub-Saharan Africa, with supervision provided by Professor Neil Rankin.
Congratulations, Paul.
kanselier, ek versoek u om die graad dokter in die wysbegeerte in die fakulteit Ekonomiese en Bestuurswetenskappe aan die kandidate wat ek aan u voorstel te verleen. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer on the candidates whom I'll present to you the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences. Noé Karem Fouatsa Manfo, with a dissertation entitled Application of Long Short-Term Memory Artificial Neural Networks to Forecast Water Supply and Demand in the Lake Chad Basin, with supervision provided by Professor Nell and Dr. Potgieter.
Congratulations.
Nicholas Johannes Oerdendal, with a dissertation entitled News, Sentiment and the Real Economy, with supervision provided by Professor Johan Kirsten. Congratulations.
Baie geluk, Nicholas.
Jacques Skalk-Pinaar, with a dissertation entitled The Development and Psychometric Evaluation of a Graduate Leader Competency Questionnaire, with supervision provided again by Professor Tron.
Baie geluk, Jan.
Meneer die kanselier, ek versoek u om aan die kandidaate wie se name ook aan u voorgelê is, maar wat nie hier teenwoordig is nie, die onderskeie grade in hulle afwesigheid te verleen. Mr. Chancellor, I request you to confer the degrees on those candidates whose names have been presented to you, but who could not attend in their absence.
I hereby confer in absentia degrees upon those candidates whose names have been presented to me in the appropriate degree. Hiermee ken ek toe aan die kandidate in hulle afwesigheid wie se naam aan my voorgelê is in die gepaste grade. Thank you, Madam Dean.
Meneer die kanselier, dames en here, dit is 'n uitstaande kenmerk van instellings wat op uitnemende prestasie ingestel is, dat verskillende vlakke en forme van erkenning aan uitmuntende presteerders gebied word. In die konteks van die Universiteit Stellenbosch sluit dit onder andere kanselierstoekennings in, wat gefokus is op volgehoue uitmuntendheid in navorsing en of leer en onderrig en of gemeenskapsinteraksie en of administrasie. Mr. Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, an outstanding feature of institutions that focus on excellent performance is that excellent achievers receive acknowledgement on different levels and in different ways. And in the context of Stellenbosch University, this recognition includes the Chancellor's Awards. These awards focus on sustained excellence in research and or learning and teaching and or community interaction and or administration. And in the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences, the recipient of the Chancellor Award for 2020 is Mr. Matthijs Johannes Brooks, more commonly known as MJ Brooks. And I have the pleasure of presenting the following motivation in respect of Mr. Brooks. Die kanseliersmedalje word aan meneer MJ Brooks toegekend ter ere van sy buitengewone bydrae as die fakulteitsdirekteur, as the faculty manager in die fakulteit Ekonomiese en Bestuurswetenskappe. Sy verbintenis tot die fakulteit, sy toewyding, kreatiwiteit, vermoë om strategies te dink en suksesvolle leierskap oor die afgelope 2 dekades het verseker dat die fakulteit floreer en dat dit allerweë erkenning geniet as 'n nasionale markleier. It is within the broader Stellenbosch University context that Mr. Brooks has positioned this faculty manager portfolio as one of the major success enablers for the university to reach the goals of its strategic themes and ultimately its overarching vision. Mr. Brooks is also an extremely accomplished accordion player, a trekklavier. So, Mr. Chancellor, I request that you present the Chancellor's Excellence Award to Mr. Matthys Johannes Brooks. Meneer die kanselier, ek versoek u om die kanselierstoekenning vir uitnemendheid aan meneer Matthys Johannes MJ Brooks te oorhandig.
Baie geluk meneer Brooks, baie trots op u. Dankie. We've reached the end of our ceremony. I hope that you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, ma'am? I'm so pleased. We're also pleased because we enjoy it. It's a great joy to be part of a university with a depth of intellectual tradition, a depth of intellectual pride that continues its output in this wonderful way. En ons trots is veral op u, op meneer Brooks ook, wat 'n toekenning ontvang het in different ways. The output of the university has continued and been strengthened this year. We ask you to stay in touch. Ons nooi vir julle om in aanraking te bly. I was part of this university many, many years ago. I think before your supervisors were born. I did my BA degree here in law. I did my honors degree in classics, and then I went abroad to study. Maar my diepste en hegste vriendskappe is hier gevorm. Nie op hoërskool nie, nie op oorseese universitaire opleiding nie, maar hier op Stellenbosch. My deepest friendships and human connections were formed here. That may be true for you as well. We saw last night, we awarded it was in the Landboufakulteit, 2 degrees to 2 people. It was a Miss Shange and a Mr. Buga, doctor. They're both doctors. They met at Stellenbosch in 2016. They got married. On News 24, go and look at News 24, you'll see it. It's a wonderful report. And so these connections endure, and they're profound. So come back to Stellenbosch because you're important as role models in every single way. Not only black people, not only women, although they are very important, but every single one of you are important because of what you have attained, the focus and effort that you've done. We want you to come and inspire people at Stellenbosch. Join the alumnus network. We have mymartiesconnect.com where you can post your CV, look for jobs, seek mentoring, and see what's going on, see what your colleagues are doing. And then lastly, we earlier paid tribute to your supervisors. There's some other people in your lives whom I think we can also pay tribute to, who are your loved ones and families and supporters. I think you'll want us to thank them especially as well, shouldn't we? Are there any family members here? Sal u opstaan asseblief? Familielede en vriende. Baie dankie. Ons is trots op u en op u bystand aan elkeen van die persone hier. Well, that brings us to the end of a joyful ceremony, and I now exercise, I don't have many powers as Chancellor, but I've got the power to constitute this congregation and to close it. And now by the powers vested in me as Chancellor, I declare that this congregation of the University of Stellenbosch is closed. After I've said it in Afrikaans, closed it in Afrikaans, we will ask you to rise and to stay rising until we leave the stage. Kragtens die magte wat aan my verleen word, verklaar ek hiermee dat hierdie kongregasie van die Universiteit Stellenbosch beëindig word. Thank you very much.